You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. During the fall, Elijah Haven came in studio with us, and if you missed that conversation, man, I would highly recommend you go check it out. It's on YouTube. Of course, all of our on-demand audio and video presented by BREC Golf. But if you go to YouTube, you can find it on the AFR LSU channel. I actually got it embedded in the article at LouisianaSports.net that talks about Elijah Haven, which we're about to discuss here. But back in the fall, Elijah Haven sat in studio, and I told you afterwards that was about as impressive a conversation as I've ever had with a high school athlete. The very short list of high school athletes that I've been able to interview over the last 20 years that stand out in a positive way. Russell Shepard, Keelan Moses on that list, certainly. Elijah Haven. Miles Brennan was awesome in high school. Colin Hurley. Interesting, a lot of quarterbacks, right? But the difference is when Elijah Haven sat in the studio in the fall, he was 15 years old. Now, he turned 16 at the end of October. But you're talking about still a guy that's only in his sophomore year of high school. And as calm, confident, polished, impressive a young person as you could ever imagine. Like, his parents must be really proud. And on top of that, he's also a physical freak show and the number one quarterback in the country for 2027. Well, Elijah Haven has done an NIL deal with Matt Bauer's Automotive Group. They announced it on a press release on Sunday. And this is totally legal. The LHSAA back in 2022 allowed for student athletes to benefit financially from NIL. When NIL went live, there was nothing to prohibit this anymore. So Haven is a very high-profile prospect for the class of 2027, as you know, and now he's got an NIL deal with Matt Bowers, who owns a dozen car dealerships around the area. Matt Bowers is notable, if you remember, he's the guy that after the NOLA no call, he's the guy that did the billboard campaign around not only Louisiana but Atlanta, where the Super Bowl was that year, where the Saints got robbed, billboards, and the NFL blew it, billboards. It's also worth noting that Matt Bowers has been accused by Gail Benson of maybe not the greatest conduct in blocking her attempt to buy certain car dealerships. Again, that's just for the record. That's not to say anything about Matt Bowers. I don't have a personal relationship with Matt, don't know him. I just know what you all know, right? He's a very public, notable Saints fan who's spent a lot of money on stuff like that. There was a time where Alvin Kamara, remember when Alvin Kamara's home was for sale? People were like, why is Alvin Kamara selling his house? And he went on to say, look, it's an asset. And he said, Matt Bowers said I could stay with him if I need to. So anyway, point is, Matt's a very notable guy and a very public-facing guy. And so you may see this and go, awesome, Louisiana business, doing an NIL deal with Elijah Haven, keep him in Louisiana at LSU. Not so fast. Turns out Matt Bowers is an Ole Miss alum. So I don't know I have no idea whatsoever. I've not spoken to Elijah or anyone in his family since last night with that. I mean, I'll try to reach out to him to see what the latest is there. But I think more than anything, there's a couple of takeaways here. Number one, you should know, and LSU's already offered Elijah Haven, but everybody has, and everybody will. There's certain lessons you have to learn from the whole Bryce Underwood saga, which is you're going to have a fight on your hands until the bitter end when you're talking about a player of that caliber at that position. So nothing is going to be easy until the very end. That's number one. I am also fascinated to see how revenue share, which it will go live as part of the NCAA House settlement. I am fascinated to see how revenue share might alter NIL. It may have no difference. It may have It may completely reshape the way all of these conversations are had. Because right now, what is happening is pay for play. NIL through the collectives is just pay for play. And it's happening. Everybody knows it's happening. Nobody's trying to hide it. And the NCAA can't enforce it. So it's just what it is. But what is going to happen, I'll try to oversimplify this. When revenue share goes into play here in the spring, summer, for next year, that is supposed to, for all intents and purposes, eliminate NIL as it exists now. What I mean is pay for play. Businesses will still be able to do true NIL deals with student athletes. And that is going to be monitored through a third party, through Deloitte, who will independently monitor that. So, for example, if Matt Bowers wants to do a deal with Elijah Haven, that deal will go to Deloitte to determine if it is a fair market value deal. And if it is, it'll go forward. If not, boom, can't do it. So does that eliminate those? Or does that just force more money under the table like it was for years and years and years? My contention is, and this is my opinion, that if you have wealthy boosters that are trying to funnel money, resources, assets to student athletes or players, recruits, to give their team an advantage, they're going to find a way to do it. They'll bend their way around the rule however they can. I'm not accusing Matt Bowers of anything, just to be very clear. What he's doing here is completely within the rules, and I don't know if he's trying to do it to benefit Ole Miss or his dealerships or whatever. But it is interesting because we're in this very pivotal time. Because I could see a scenario hypothetically where, let's say, again, and I want to be clear, I don't know if this is Matt Bowers' intent, is to help Ole Miss. I'm assuming that is, but I don't know that. But let's say, so here's a prospect for 2027 that come 2027 with rev share being how it is, I may not be able to do an NIL deal as it exists now. But what if I do it on the front end? What if I do it right now? Because I have from now until rev share goes into play to dole out that cash, right? Maybe this is his way of trying to be proactive. Or maybe not. But it's just a fascinating scenario, hypothetically, how all of this is working and shaping out. Now, if you're curious, when Elijah Haven was in studio back in, was that October? It was October. That'd be just before his birthday. I mean, it'd be just about to turn 16. But I asked him if he grew up an LSU fan. So if you're an LSU fan wondering about Elijah Haven, this is what he said.
I did. Yeah, I guess you could say a dream come true. You know, you grow up watching LSU and, you know, players like Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels. And, you know, it's just a blessing to have an opportunity to be a recruit now and, you know, to be able to go see coaches like Joe Sloan and Coach Kelly. And I'm just very thankful unto God and grew up as a little kid watching, and to be in this position now, I'm just extremely grateful.
Yeah, when you're 15, your entire perception of LSU football is Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels. What a world to live in when you have no concept of the Les Miles era of offense. But so look, Elijah Haven said grew up an LSU fan. How much does that weigh into his decision? I don't know. The kid's got 2 years to make that decision. I'm not trying to overreact. It's just a very interesting story as this is playing out. And as you look at the LSU quarterback situation over the next 2 years, it's fascinating because you thought you had your depth and your sort of quarterback staircase built for the next 3 years. Okay, it's Nussmeier in 2025, and then you're handing it over to Underwood in 2026 and 2027. And then if Elijah Haven comes in 27, he sits behind Underwood for a year, and then it's Haven in 28, 29, perhaps maybe even to 2030. So you thought you had your quarterback staircase built for the next 5 years. Well, Underwood defecting to Michigan really threw a monkey wrench, because now in 2025, you've got Nussmeier, and you had to go get Michael Van Buren. So you got Nuss, Michael Van Buren, and Colin Hurley. And again, you don't have a quarterback signed in this class, so you don't have a freshman, a 25 freshman coming in. So next year, Nuss is gone in 26. So in theory, you'd have Van Buren and Hurley if they both stay. which the chances of that I don't think are very good. Even if they did, you'd go into 27 with maybe one of those guys, unless if one left the year before and the other goes pro. So you could be looking at 27 where, as it stands right now, you wouldn't have a quarterback on the roster, which would really put a ton of emphasis on getting Elijah Haven in the class of 2027. I mean, that feels, just with the way that the quarterback position at LSU is built, because what you thought it was going to be with Underwood and now not having Underwood, Nuss saves you for 25. In 26, you could probably make it work with Van Buren or Hurley. But boy, I don't want to overstate it, but having Elijah Haven in Baton Rouge for 2027 at what will be a pivotal point at quarterback for you as you rebuild that room feels like as big a recruit for LSU since Leonard Fournette, which when LSU got Fournette, and everyone had been aware of Fournette since he was in the 8th grade, I mean, it was just, that was one that you absolutely could not let get away. And boy, Haven feels like that a lot. So get to know the name. That's one we're going to talk about for a lot over the next 2 years. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.